What's up guys, Schmidt here, welcome back to another video, and today I want to talk about the potential beta for Call of Duty Modern Warfare and whether there actually should be one. In honor of that, you guys have some Call of Duty Black Ops 4 beta gameplay from all the way back in last August. So if the gameplay is a little older looking, a little fuzzier looking, that is why that's the case. And I kind of want to preface this video by saying that I think at the end of the day, there will be a beta for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but I want to discuss some of the pros and cons of having a beta, some of the things that a lot of people discuss for a beta for Call of Duty, and just kind of get some input from you guys down below in the comments. So every year since Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Call of Duty has done a beta usually sometime in the summer. The only time it really hasn't been during the summertime was during Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, to where it was just a few weeks before the launch, sometime in October, which ended up being more of a demo for the game rather than a true beta. But regardless, ever since Black Ops 3, Call of Duty has done betas, in which by pre-ordering the game, you get access to this beta to be able to play the multiplayer version of the game before it comes out, and they largely use it as a testing ground to test some of the servers for the game. They test some of the balance of some of the weapons, the equipment, maybe some adjustments that need to be made to the maps. We saw this in Black Ops 4 on the map Seaside, to where there was a whole edition made on the launch of the game based on what the map played like in the beta, and that leads me to some of the pros of the beta. Devs use this largely to test the game and make sure that it is going to be in its best state possible when it comes to launch. This is huge for these devs because they get so much more data, they get so much more to test based on of what they can just do at the studio. They get hundreds and hundreds times more data than what they would just by people playing at the studio. By letting us players use it online all across the world, this gives them so much more data that they normally, before betas existed, wouldn't be able to have been obtained until launch. Which is why typically Call of Duty's, at least prior to betas, were so bad at the launch state of the game, at least in terms of servers crashing and going down and all that stuff. I know a lot of people don't remember it, but pretty much every year when a Call of Duty would release, at least the first few days would be pretty bad in terms of the servers, and then you would have, weapon balancing issues that would have to be fixed later on, which is something we just see less of with Call of Duty now that there's been betas. And overall, it makes for a so much better experience when it comes to launch day. The game doesn't have to start in such a broken state to where the servers are struggling to work because of all the traffic on them that wasn't really expected or wasn't tested properly. We don't have weapon or equipment or map balance issues, at least not as many as there used to be. Of course, it'll never be perfect, but it really helps minimize a lot of these issues as much as possible. Another pro of it is for Call of Duty itself. Of course, it definitely helps to up the pre-order numbers by making the beta only obtainable through pre-orders. It's going to up your pre-order numbers because people want access to the game early. They want to play it as soon as possible. And so by giving them this limited access a few months before the game starts, just by pre-ordering the game, you're going to get a large number of people that are going to do that, and it's going to help your numbers overall. Also, in terms of pros for the community, we get to play the game early. Instead of waiting all the way till October, in the past year's November, to be able to get our first hands on with the game, we get to get a little bit of a taste of the game a couple months before it even comes out. We all get to play it, get a feel for it, see what it's like, and for me as a creator, I get to record a bunch of gameplay of this new game and use it in videos all the way up until when the game actually comes out. So I have gameplay of the new game to use in videos for background footage all the way up until the game comes out, which is nice as well. So there's a lot of pros with the beta, but a lot of people seem to at least talk about now that they would rather see them go by the wayside. And it's typically for one big reason: it kind of tends to ruin the hype in some ways. Back before there were betas for really any video game, but especially for Call of Duty, we wouldn't be able to see or get our hands on the game until the game launched, which helped create a lot more hype. It was a much longer wait, which wasn't a lot of fun, but by the time the game actually got here, there was a lot of hype generated. The first time you hopped on the game on launch night was actually your first time playing the game. This wasn't, oh yeah, I just played this a couple months ago, but now the full thing's out. No, your first experience was when the game launched, which is a feeling that just doesn't happen a lot anymore. Of course, it'll still happen with things such as like the campaign. It'll happen this year with Spec Ops and stuff like that. But as far as the multiplayer, you've already gotten a taste of it. It's not something that's an entirely fresh experience the first time you hop on it on launch day. And so there's usually always this argument of, well, it would be great if the hype could be savored all the way up until when the game launches, which in a sense, I can kind of agree with. It was always nice. It's always great, in any aspect to get something brand new and have your first experience of it be the full experience. Not get a taste and then wait a couple months and then the game comes out and you're not quite, you're still hyped the full game's out, but not quite as hyped because you have played a little bit of it before. And so I can understand that argument that it does take away a little bit of the hype, and I definitely see that side. I do, of course, myself miss those days to when, you got the game on launch day and that was your first experience and it was so hype and you got to experience everything about that game at once for the very first time. That was just a really cool experience. However, there's just so many benefits to having a beta, not only just overall for the game, but like I said, you know, for the publishers and the companies as well, that I just don't see Call of Duty not having a beta. In fact, I can almost guarantee that it will from here on out. And I think overall they are a good thing. I understand that people don't want to be spoiled or don't want to have, you know, their hype mitigated in any way, but overall it's just such a good thing for the games. You know, I know people still like to argue that games are launching unfinished, especially with Call of Duty, and they can still have broken things coming out of launch. And like I said, these betas aren't going to make these games perfect when they launch, but it does help put them in a much better state, and it helps get a lot of data for things like gun balance and things like that for all the devs that, like I said, they wouldn't be able to get otherwise. It'd be nice if they were able to get all this data and have everything, you know, be able to test all the servers as wide as possible, you know, without having to kind of mitigate the hype a little bit for the community. But I guess my argument would be to those people that don't want the hype ruined is, you know, don't play the beta. The beta is not something you have to participate in. I know that, you know, for a lot of Call of Duty fans, there's still going to be that itch that they want to play it, but kind of want to maintain the hype at the same time. But I guess that would be my thing, is if you really want to maintain that hype and you want your first experience to be on that launch day, then just don't participate in the beta, I guess, is probably the best way that would happen, because there's going to be a beta for Call of Duty. It's going to happen. It's going to be something that is going to continue. It just helps the numbers a lot for Activision and all the development studios as well. And like I said, it really does help the games in the long run, especially when they first launch. In my mind, there's just too many benefits to having a beta rather than, you know, the negatives of having a beta. And I'm sure maybe there's more than the one I mentioned, but I feel like that's at least the main one people argue. And honestly, while I do see that side of it, and I do wish that feeling could be something that's maintained, at the end of the day, there's just too many positives of Call of Duty having a beta to argue against it having one. And so should Call of Duty have a beta? In my personal opinion, yes. So many positives come out of having it. I think it's something that they're going to continue to have to do, and like I said, it's going to be something that they continue to do probably regardless. I think it'd be silly if they didn't. And again, I understand that argument of people wanting to, you know, save the hype as much as possible, but I'd rather have the hype dimmed down a little bit by playing the game early than having it dimmed down by the fact that the game's just in such a broken state to where it just doesn't really work when it comes out at launch. I'd rather have them, you know, get as many things right as they can before the game launches so that when it does come out, everything runs as smooth as possible. I know it won't end up being perfect because of the beta, but it does help them so much. And so in my personal opinion, yes, I do believe Call of Duty should have a beta and should continue to have betas in the future. Anyway, down below in the comments, let me know your guys' thoughts on betas in Call of Duty, and especially for Modern Warfare. Do you agree that there's just too many benefits to betas that there's just no way they should go without them? Or are you somebody that really just wants that hype savored as much as possible and doesn't really want an early inside look at what the game has to offer? Anyway, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed, make sure to smack the Schmidt out of that like button down below. If you're going to subscribe button down below as well. If you're not doing videos, go live. Hopefully you guys all have a good one. I will see you guys on another video. So long, everybody.